Salam alaikum. It is a great pleasure and honor to be here today. I wanted to start by talking a little bit about the challenges ahead in many Arab societies that are trying to make the transition to democracy, and to talk a little bit about some ideas of what an American role could be in assisting those changes. If the last half of the 20th century was the hour of the big man in Arab politics, and the first decade of the 21st century was the hour of the extremists, we are now witnessing the hour of the citizen. It has often been argued that three waves of democratization have swept the globe in modern history, and each has bypassed entirely the Arab world. But with the sudden collapse of authoritarianism in Tunisia, Egypt, and Libya, a fourth such wave may be taking shape, with the Arab world at its epicenter. Around the world, democracy has acquired the status of a near universal norm in recent years. In public opinion surveys, the majority of citizens in most every country of the world express a preference for democracy over other forms of government. That represents a profound shift from decades past in which other political models, whether socialism, authoritarianism, and even totalitarianism, held broad popular appeal in various corners of the globe. Arab publics have finally found their voice and are demanding that they, too, be able to govern themselves, as others around the world have been able to. The road ahead, though, is likely to be rocky, if experience elsewhere in the world is any guide. It was once thought, in the early stages of the democratic wave, the first democratic wave that swept the world, it was once thought that once a democratic breakthrough had occurred, once elites agreed to move to democracy or dictators had been pushed aside, that the path from democratic breakthrough to democratic consolidation was largely a straightforward technical exercise, one of organizing elections that were free and fair and putting in place proper democratic political institutions. In fact, the path from democratic breakthrough to consolidation has proved to often be a difficult one, full of twists and turns. The process has often been highly political and much more uncertain and contingent than we once imagined. The conditions that make for the kinds of successful popular revolts that we witnessed on our television sets in recent months, and those required for successful democratization, bear some similarities, but they are far from identical. The ouster of an autocratic leader is not on its own sufficient for democracy to flourish. People revolt in response to in response to a deeply felt sense of injustice, usually emerging out of some sort of concrete grievance experienced in their everyday life. A perception, perhaps, that the dominant group within society has violated the implicit or explicit norms that hold that society together by taking more than their share. Democratization, on the other hand, requires a positive vision, not of what was, but of what could be. It requires a set of political ideas about how society should be organized and the organizational power to see those ideas realized. It entails a much longer set of engagements by citizens to help enshrine those ideas in a concrete set of political institutions, but also to ensure that these new institutions function as intended and indeed reflect the will of the people and safeguard the rights of individual citizens. We have seen in recent years that initial democratic breakthroughs of the type we witnessed this year in the Arab Spring can often get hijacked in many ways. Popular revolutions can quickly degenerate into civil war. They're also vulnerable to co-optation by regime insiders. A single political party may dominate the post-revolutionary scene. The siren song of silver-tongued populists may prove irresistible, particularly those selling religious solutions to political problems. All in all, increasingly there's a recognition that the quality of democracy matters, not just a country's adherence to a set of procedural rules about periodic elections. Democratization efforts need to be directed toward creating stable democracies that not only hold regular elections, but also are anchored in the rule of law. In the Middle East, the success of democratization over the long term will depend in good measure on the existence of public demand for reform and democracy. Well-designed constitutions are important, as are effective democratic institutions that help structure political life. But they will be rendered meaningless if the public is not willing to stand up behind those institutions and ensure that they function as intended. Transitions to democracy are more likely to stay on track and be successful where they are backed up with the help of an empowered and engaged citizenry capable of reminding their politicians that there will be a price to pay should they deviate from the new rules of the game. All else remaining equal, one can expect countries with citizens who are more educated, more exposed to the outside world, and more highly networked together to fare better than those whose citizens are not. What can we do to help? I said before that this was the hour of the citizen in the Arab world, but it's also the hour of the citizen here, I would argue. A number of the things that I'm going to talk about in a moment that the United States could do are far better done by private individuals, private institutions, private philanthropies than by the US government. And so I offer this in the following suggestions as a kind of call to arms. We should, as a nation, in trying to assist the transitions in the Arab world, we should be prepared to help craft constitutions and help design democratic political institutions. But more critically, I would argue, we should seek to help accelerate the important cultural and perceptual changes that have brought a new Arab generation into politics and upended political discourse in the region, as it is this emerging political constituency for democracy that will be the ultimate guarantor of these institutions' success. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once observed, the wise know that the form of government which prevails is the expression of what cultivation exists in the population which permits it. We need to assist with that cultivation. In this, the United States, I think, has more tools at our disposal than we may recognize in helping to build political constituencies for democracy. American technologies, American music and film, American universities, and the American example of democracy all played some part in the dramatic cultural and attitudinal changes that have taken place in recent years in the Middle East. These things can be used to help accelerate the cultural changes underway in the region. Openness will speed the cultural and attitudinal changes already underway. The aim, I would say, for the United States should be to encourage brain circulation, the flow of people and ideas in, out, and across the region. And let me just offer a few examples before I close. First, we should seek to continue to support greater internet access and internet freedom, and find more ways for Arab and American youth to connect via social and virtual media. Second, we should look for ways to get as many Arab youth and professionals as possible out to other parts of the world through exchanges, study tours, and professional development opportunities, so that they can experience other cultures and observe firsthand how citizens mediate relations with political authority in other settings. Third, we should be encouraging as many people as possible from outside the region to come in as volunteers, as English language instructors, as educators, as administrators, and as technical advisors. Fourth, we should seek to help develop indigenous educational institutions that are capable of providing a world-class education and nurturing a new generation of informed citizens in the Arab world. We have a long tradition of this in American missionaries, actually, creating American universities within the Middle East. Ultimately, citizens who are capable of thinking critically and acting independently are the bedrock of a successful democracy, not to mention a successful economy. Fifth, we should provide financial support where merited for civic initiatives that bring like-minded citizens together for common public purposes. We should help underwrite citizen-inspired initiatives in the region that address pressing political and economic problems on the ground, whether large and small, with the understanding that such initiatives can grow into bigger things over time and allow citizens to learn and grow more confident working together on a more cooperative democratic basis while building important, enduring networks of cooperation. The aim of all these efforts should be to help create a new generation of citizens in the Arab world who are more educated, more open to the world, and more connected to one another. If the past is any guide, this will be the best guarantor of democracy's long-term success. And I think we have an important role to play in that. Thank you.